Joining us now with reaction, the author of Trial of the Century, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett, along with former acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker. Matt, I'm going to start with you. You hear Merrick Garland, the statement about the importance of the Department of Justice. Of course it is. And that's why we're concerned. That's why everybody's upset with what's going on. What he said was true. He's attaching it to the presumption then that you should not criticize it because it's so important. With everything we've now heard, Matt, what's your take on this?
Yeah, well, good to be with you tonight, Tammy. You know, this is directed to people like me and Greg that have been calling into question these deals that were made with Hunter Biden, the investigation into Donald Trump, and so many other investigations that demonstrate a two-tiered system of justice. And, you know, I watched the Attorney General. He seems very thin-skinned and can't take the criticism. I mean, if he is above board, then he should have nothing to worry about. I worry the most, especially now, it's very clear that maybe Garland's not the one putting his thumb on the scale, but the assistant attorney generals for criminal, the tax division, and these U.S. attorneys in California and in D.C. that appear to have prevented Weiss from bringing this case that he wanted to bring, and it has now had to fold up tent and take 2 misdemeanor charges. It's a shameful chapter for the Department of Justice. It
is. And, you know, Greg, I know our viewers are smart and they're reading everything. And there's just so much to look at when it comes to the nature of what happened with this case. You've been, of course, on this for years, the nature of a double standard, of an unfairness in the legal system. And yet last night, you've got that same attorney general even willing to be in the same room with a man that had faced pleading guilty to charges. We had the whistleblower report. No one seemed to have a problem with that. It's an outrageous insult to the American people, as though who cares what we think?
You know, it was kind of like the wedding reception in the Godfather movie where all the thugs and crooks gathered together to celebrate. Look, the head of the crooked organization is Merrick Garland, and his denials are farcical. You know, testimony by the whistleblowers is compelling. They cite specific actions that were taken to shut down felony charges to protect Hunter Biden and, in turn, Joe Biden. I mean, how else do you explain an absurd plea to 2 minor tax misdemeanors in the face of clear felonious conduct that would land anybody else in prison? I mean, how do you rationalize a 5-year investigation that ignored brazen corruption? They weren't even allowed to open the laptop. So Garland's denials are completely dishonest. The IRS found that, Hunter cheated the government out of more than $8 million in unreported income from his many influence peddling schemes, yet most of that is not charged. Just a sliver of it are a couple of misdemeanors. I mean, look, these IRS agents, they're supervisory officials. They were the ones who were present during these pivotal meetings when their requests, for example, for warrant-based raids on Hunter's home and storage unit were denied. And they sat there and they watched and listened as this assistant U.S. attorney says, yes, we do have more than enough probable cause to do it, but we won't because the optics would be bad. Well, gee, the DOJ didn't give a damn about the optics when they raided Mar-a-Lago. Garland, claims also that 2 Biden-appointed U.S. attorneys in California and Washington didn't stop felonious prosecutions. Right. Well, he wasn't there. The IRS agents were.
Yeah, Matt, what's fascinating here is that you've got his complete denials on this aspect where we have, and these whistleblowers, just so the viewer realizes, as Greg noted, these are high-up people. These aren't, somebody who we wouldn't know or didn't really have access or overheard a conversation. These are individuals who were involved and have since then were removed from the investigation so that they know directly. Do you think that when it comes to the nature of this, because we're not even having an investigation into, you've got an extra $8 million, that there's no investigation into who did that come from and was that bribery? We also have lost that, unless that's continuing, and that seems to be debatable.
We have, and to the point, these were people that were at the table, but this is not their first rodeo. I mean, one was a supervisory special agent, so they have done plenty of criminal tax cases. They've done plenty of felony criminal tax cases. They know how people are treated under similar circumstances. And not only did they complain to the investigation team, they took it to Congress because they felt that compelled that this was so out of the mainstream of how cases like this have been done and should be done, that they felt that Congress and the American people should know how extraordinary this case is. And they were punished. They were taken off the case. They were removed from the investigative team for raising this concern. I mean, this case, as we learn, and we need to, Congress needs to get the U.S. Attorney for Delaware, Mr. Weiss, in front of them as soon as possible, and hear exactly what he has to say, because he is the one that knows what he was able to do and what he wasn't able to do, and who prevented him from doing it.
Yes, exactly. It seems to me it's similar that it's like the Edward Snowden case, who watched James Clapper lie to Congress directly about what the NSA was collecting on the American people. And he knew that was false. And that's what compelled him to come out. Now, of course, we know what happened to him. That was another message to whistleblowers. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Clearly, we're just at the beginning of this. This is not going to be the end. Greg and Matt, thank you, sirs.